I had barely set my duffel down when her voice cut through the silence. "Why are you back so soon? You didn't call." Her words froze me more than the cold air clinging to my jacket. I had expected arms around me. Instead, I got distance.
Before I could answer, a knock rattled the door, heavy and low. It echoed in my chest like the mortars from the front. She flinched. "No, don't open it." I frowned, my hand brushing the knob. Who would knock like that at this hour? "If you've ever felt loyalty tested," I whispered to myself, "type Revenge ExposedNow, because some knocks slam harder than war itself." The door creaked open. A man stood there in the porch light, his voice cutting straight through me. "You should ask her about what she did while you were gone." My throat tightened. "Who are you?" "Doesn't matter," he said, gaze darting past me to her. "Truth knocks louder than love, soldier." "Get out," she snapped, stepping forward. "You don't belong here." I slammed the door shut before neighbors could hear. My palm tingled from the wood. "What is going on?" I demanded, breath hot in my chest. She forced a tremble into her smile. "He's just some drunk trying to break us apart. Please don't let him ruin tonight." I stared at her trembling hands wrapped in the sleeves of her robe. They shouldn't have been shaking harder than mine. "Why would he come here? He knew your name." Her eyes darted away. "People talk. He probably read it somewhere. You're letting your head play tricks again." I had heard this tone on the battlefield too, when someone tried to hide fear under calm. "You've been gone too long," she murmured, brushing my shoulder. "Maybe you forgot trust works both ways." My jaw clenched. "And maybe you forgot loyalty is not a riddle." My mother's voice broke the tension. She had come downstairs, her robe drawn tight. "What happened?" she asked gently. "She just got assaulted by words, Ma," I said sharply. Mom looked at her, then at me. "Strangers thrive on making soldiers doubt. Don't turn your back on her too fast, son." Her defense stung worse than accusation. "Thank you," my fiancée whispered, linking her arm in mine, though her skin felt colder than the night air. The silence afterward pressed heavy. I could hear the furnace hiss, the hum of the fridge, things I never noticed until combat tuned my ears. Later, when both were in the kitchen, I slipped my phone out. My thumb found the mic. A voice memo began recording the emptiness. My own way of catching shadows. I whispered into it, barely audible. "Stranger. Knock." She knew. A sound anchor for truth, proof in case the world twisted again. "Come here," she called sweetly from the counter. "Sit with me. Tell me about the desert, about your scars." The invitation felt less like love, more like distraction. "You didn't hug me when I walked in," I said plainly. Her spoon paused in the cup of tea. I was surprised, caught off guard. I sat, hands pressed together tight. Caught off guard usually tastes different from fear. She giggled shallow, the sound clattering like dropped shells. "Don't analyze me like an enemy. You came home to me, remember?" Mom touched my shoulder. She waited every day. Wrote letters. Held on. Don't ruin it by feeding doubt. Her words cut because I wanted to believe them. My chest ached at the thought that maybe I was breaking what little peace I had. But the knock still echoed. The man's words still clung like smoke. I sipped the tea. Too sweet. Her style was always unsweetened. Habits didn't change by accident. "Why'd you add sugar?" I asked. She froze. Just for a moment. Then the grin. "Thought maybe you needed something different, since war changed the taste of everything else." Her explanation flowed too fast. I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to react. The furnace groaned again behind us. All I could think of was my buddy's last words overseas. "Listen twice before speaking once." So I listened. I heard her voice low, anxious, humming off key as she stirred tea too long. I heard Mom whispering from the fridge doorway. "Soldiers deserve peace, but he's cracked. Don't break him." And still, under it all, I heard the knock replaying in my ribs. I set the cup down. "I'm tired. Big day tomorrow." She kissed my temple. Too light, like obligation. My hand brushed the phone in my pocket. The screen glowed faintly, recording saved. Even in silence, I had seen something. My first weapon in a war I didn't expect to fight. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, but it brought no warmth. My eyes kept replaying that knock, over and over. "Why are you staring like that?" she asked, slipping into the room with her hair tied neatly. "I'm wondering who else has keys to you besides me." Her laugh cracked thin. "You came back different. Maybe that's why you're seeing ghosts." "Maybe," I said, though my chest burned. She leaned in, her perfume flooding the air, a sweet citrus tang that wasn't hers. My throat tightened. "You didn't wear this before," I whispered. Confusion flickered across her face, then vanished. "Perfume? That must have been from the celebration gifts. Don't be paranoid. Gifts don't end up on your skin." Her lips pressed thin. "I carried your photo everywhere, yet you doubt me over a fragrance." I turned, fists curling. The room seemed smaller now, walls closing in like desert tents in sandstorms. Later, at the cafe with friends, I tried to act normal. Laughter hovered around espresso cups, but every laugh seemed directed at me. "Good to see you back, brother," one said, clapping my shoulder. "Yeah," another chimed. "Don't mind her. She's been the picture of loyalty. Anyone who says otherwise is lying." Their words felt practiced, rehearsed. I watched their eyes flick between her and me like players defending a teammate. "She deserves your trust," one insisted. "She kept this circle strong while you were gone." Her smile shone too wide. "See, they know." I cut in. "Since when did loyalty need a press conference?" Silence dropped heavy. Then she reached for my hand. "Since war made shadows where light should be." I let go. The cafe smelled too much of ground beans and deceit. That night, I opened my laptop. The glow lit my hands as I forwarded every email. Hers, mine. Even the ones that once made me smile. To a second account. Insurance. My second agency step. The clicks of the keyboard reminded me of distant gunfire, sharp and final. In the kitchen, she hummed again, off-key, restless. I watched her through the doorway. The way she stirred the spoon in circles, always clockwise. But tonight it was counter. Tiny details screamed louder than words. "Do you need me to make tea?" I asked. She jumped slightly. "I was going to surprise you." "Sweet?" I asked, testing her. Her brow furrowed. "I thought you liked sweetened now." Heat shot through my temples. I never changed. Her hands trembled, spoon clanking against the cup. "Why are you interrogating me like a criminal?" "I'm asking like a man who gave years of his life to keep seeing dawn with you." The doorbell rang again. My heart jerked. She stiffened, whispering, "Ignore it." Instead, my mother opened it. Just mail. Relief flowed but left a bitter aftertaste. Later, in the bedroom, she climbed beside me. Her hands traced my chest. Soft, familiar, but the scent still wrong. "You're tense," she whispered. "Maybe you should talk about what the war did to you." I stared at the ceiling. "You think this is about my scars?" Tears welled faintly in her eyes, glittering. "I just want us back. Stop doubting me." Her words pierced with guilt. Maybe she was right. Maybe my mind, wired by desert silence and explosions, twisted too easily now. But then I saw my reflection in the mirror. My eyes weren't the only ones that looked away. "Do you still love me?" I asked. She kissed my cheek. Too rushed. "Of course. Always." The pillow felt foreign under my head, like I was sleeping in someone else's bed. The ceiling fan hummed above, steady and unbroken. I closed my eyes, but not before sliding my phone out again. Another note saved. Another whisper to the future me. She said love. It sounded rehearsed. Sleep came shallow, teeth clenched. In the dark, I prayed for strength to face dawn. The pre-wedding dinner should have been laughter and clinking cutlery. Instead, the air felt thick, like dust storms rolling across the desert. She raised her glass. "To my soldier, who fought demons abroad and brought his heart home." Applause followed, but her eyes never reached mine. I raised mine halfway, before a voice from the table tilted the air. "Funny thing," her cousin smirked. "Didn't you use to charm half the base nurses before you left?" The laughter rippled. My chest went hollow. I steadied my fork. "I didn't." But she leaned forward, lips curling faintly. Didn't you? People remember differently. You smile too much, don't you think? Everyone chuckled. For them, it was harmless teasing. For me, it cut deep. You weren't even there, I said slowly. Her laugh was airy, rehearsed. Letters travel. Stories travel. Memories travel faster than we admit. Mom shifted uneasily. Enough of that now. He's home. But my fiancé pressed harder. If he wants to accuse me of shadows, he should accept his own. The table hushed. Eyes flicked toward me. I felt sweat bead at my temple. My throat clenched like hands squeezing it shut. Is this really what you want to put on me? I asked. She tilted her head, soft voice trembling. I'm only asking if you held our vows as tightly as you claim. Gasps fluttered. Insults in the desert never stung this sharp. I carried your letters through fire. I whispered. Read them when comrades bled beside me. I didn't smile for anyone else. But the way she tapped her glass against the plate, persistent, daring, made me doubt if anyone believed me. One friend piped up nervously. Maybe he got lonely. It happens overseas. She seized it, quick. See, even they know how war twists fidelity. I looked at Mom. Her eyes softened, but not fully. She seemed to doubt whether I remembered things clearly. You came back changed, she said slowly. Sometimes trauma, it colors memory. My fork clattered onto the plate. Everyone has doubt but me? Convenient. Silence again. The hum of the overhead vent filled the pause, mechanical, unkind. I touched my pocket, feeling the phone there, reminder of the agency I built. Quietly, on the walk back from the restrooms, I screenshotted her texts. Little slips she thought were nothing. I sent them to myself. Another stone in my pile of truth. Back at the table, I kept my voice low. What are you really trying to do? Her eyes glimmered, but her tone cut. Be careful, soldier. Love disappears when suspicion grows too heavy. The words iced my skin. It wasn't a plea anymore. It was a threat. The lights above hummed too bright. For a moment, all sound drained, replaced with a memory. My squad mate Alan bleeding out, gripping my vest. His final rasp. Hold on her close. Don't let anyone strip it. The flash left my pulse hammering. When I blinked, everyone stared again, waiting for me to falter. I straightened, throat raw. If love disappears, it won't be because I doubted. It'll be because lies smother truth. The cousin snorted. Here we go again. She laid her hand on mine, with false gentleness. Stop turning everything into war. I'm here, aren't I? Isn't that enough? My jaw locked. My body screamed yes, but my heart whispered no. The rest of the dinner clattered by in fragments, spoons, plates, nervous chatter trying to cover fractures. Walking out, the night air hit like cold steel. She linked arms with me anyway. You're ruining our future with these suspicions. I kept my voice flat. The future doesn't need defending if it's real. Her grip tightened painfully. Then maybe this war isn't just yours anymore. Her perfume rode the wind again, suffocating foreign. I leaned close, whispering into her ear. If anyone listening to this has ever been forced to doubt their own memories, type truth now. Don't let lies win. Her spine stiffened at the words, as if she knew I spoke to more than her. At home, I sat in the edge shadows, body trembling but voice steady. The soldier in me rose from despair toward planning. But inside, I admitted quietly, I'm terrified I'll wake to find faith was a fool's dream. Admitting it didn't weaken me. It armed me. Because tomorrow, I would listen clearer. Tomorrow, cracks in the veil would tear wider. The dim glow of candles spread across the living room. Friends had gone, laughter drained, silence left behind. Only the waxy scent lingered, coating my throat. She poured wine into my glass, her hand too steady for someone claiming innocence. Let's not fight anymore, she said softly. I waited too long for this night. I studied her. The flicker of the flame cast two shadows across her face, one tender, one sharp. You want peace? I asked. Her eyes gleamed. I want us. I sipped, bitter on my tongue. Not peace. When the room settled in silence again, she leaned closer. Her whisper stung more than the wine. Wouldn't it be tragic? She murmured. If your mother knew the full truth? My spine stiffened. What truth are you inventing now? She smiled faintly. Everyone carries secrets. Yours don't all live overseas. I felt my pulse race. The flame hissed as melted wax dripped, a sound too sharp in the quiet. What are you saying? I asked tightly. Her gaze slipped to the floor. You've never told her everything. Maybe if you turn me into a villain, I could tell her ways you failed her too. The knife wasn't in her hand, but her words sliced all the same. You lay threats where love should be. I whispered. I lay survival. She answered. Don't break me, soldier. I've waited too long for you. The word soldier at home always scraped raw, like bringing battlefield dust into my living room. I stood, throat heavy. You wear wounds in your skin? I wear mine unseen, burned inside. Don't cheapen them with games. She rose as well, reaching for my arm. Don't raise your voice. People will hear. I pulled free. Then let them. But she shook her head urgently. The wedding is hours away. If your doubts become public, they'll say you're unstable. They'll say combat shattered your mind. Her tactics stung sharp. Twist the narrative. Paint me broken. From the corner, the bridesmaid shifted uncomfortably. She had stayed late, claiming to help with dresses, but her eyes lingered too long on my fiancé's phone lighting with a message. The bridesmaid whispered, Someone's texting you. Should I hand it over? My fiancé snatched the device. Just cousins checking on tomorrow. But her voice cracked slightly, just enough, and the bridesmaid's brow furrowed in hesitation. Nothing. I asked coldly. Nothing, she bit back. Silence pressed again. The wax scent thickened, suffocating. In that pause, in that sickly sweetness, my strength faltered. What if she was right? What if suspicion had unhinged me? If soldiers carried shadows that clouded love? Fear wrestled inside me. Honest fear. Not of mortars, but of looking like a fool while the world laughed. But then the bridesmaid's eyes met mine. Just a flicker. Confusion. Doubt. And some small recognition that maybe I wasn't unraveling alone. That broke despair's grip. When my fiancée disappeared briefly into the hallway, I slipped to the closet. In a garment bag, I laid a second gown, a backup. Pure white, untouched, simple. Not the flashy dress she boasted about, but one I'd arranged quietly with the help of a tailor friend before I came back. It waited like a silent blade, should the time come. My quiet agency. Proof that I would not enter the altar blind. Returning to the room, I found her laughing too brightly at the bridesmaid. Then her eyes caught me. Why must you watch me like a hawk? Do you want me to choke on my own vows before I even say them? I kept my voice steady. I'm watching because someone has to. Her lips curved into something sharp. Then watch carefully, because tomorrow, when the world blesses us, your doubts will look like madness, not mine. The bridesmaid shifted again, quietly moving toward the door. I should go, she murmured. Long day tomorrow. As she left, her eyes held something different, flickering away from my fiancé, back to me, unsure but troubled. We were alone again. Do you regret coming home? She asked suddenly. The words hit deep. I regret nothing but lies. You're hurting yourself, she murmured. And when you break, you'll blame me. I felt the candle's warmth lick my knuckles as I leaned against the mantel. My fear whispered again. What if her version held weight, because people wanted it to? But my friend's last whisper in the desert came back. Don't let anyone strip on her. I clenched the thought tight. No, I said finally, quiet but unshaken. When the breaking comes, it won't be mine. The flame danced, and her smile slipped under its glow. The stage was shifting, battle lines drawn between shadows and glass. Tomorrow, I would find out which would shatter first. The church bell tolled. Stone walls loomed heavy, a different kind of fortress than the ones I guarded overseas. The pews filled with family, friends, neighbors, faces blending in noise and light. My chest felt armored, but my pulse betrayed me. She appeared in lace, veil draped delicately over her face. To them, she was beauty incarnate. To me, she was a mask made of silk. You look nervous, she whispered as we waited in the side chamber. I look awake, I corrected. Her smile flickered. Awake to what? Ghosts from war? Don't confuse shadows with truth. Truth doesn't need disguises, I murmured. The bridesmaid entered, hands clutching flowers. Her eyes shifted between us. For the first time, she didn't smile at her friend. "Is everything all right here?" she asked. My fiancé gripped my arm tighter. "Of course. He's just carrying nerves. After all, isn't that how trauma works?" The subtle dig glanced through me. In front of witnesses, twist history, paint me unstable. "Trauma," I said, voice even. "You think survival is a weakness?" She leaned close to my ear, low whisper. "If silence is loyalty, then honesty must be betrayal. Remember that." The words coated my throat thick as ash. My hands trembled, not from fear of her, but fear of how easily others drank her act. Mom entered next, expression tight. She pulled me aside briefly. "She's glowing, son. Don't let doubt destroy her moment. You owe her calm after all she gave in waiting." She gave. My tongue burned. She gave smiles to someone else while I gave blood to a desert. Mom flinched, but instead of standing firm, she sighed. "I just want peace in this house, please." Her stance shifted, protective of me, yet weary, more conflicted than before. Back in the main hall, we walked together to the music swell. The audience rose. I caught glimpses of neighbors leaning close, eager for a fairy tale. But fairy tales weren't written on my battlefield. The officiant smiled, voice strong. "We gather to bless the bond of these two souls." Her veil brushed my cheek as she leaned closer. Fabric soft, a fragile ghost between us. "You'll ruin yourself if you speak," she whispered. I steadied my breath. Better ruin than rot. Her smile remained for the crowd, but her nails pressed into my arm with quiet rage. The vows approached. My pulse hammered against the marble floor, each beat echoing through my boots. One of her cousins coughed loudly, muttering to another. Strange he looks so pale. Maybe not right in the head after all that sand. The words carried, feeding into the tension, but I said nothing yet, because my preparation ticked closer. My phone in my pocket buzzed faintly. Timed documents, emails, recordings, all sent to key inboxes. Silent agency, crawling toward light. The officiant turned to her. "Do you take this man?" She lifted her veil halfway, smile painted perfect. Before I answer, I must say how much I suffered waiting, watching his loyalty drift like smoke. Gasps flickered in the crowd. She twisted history boldly now, public stage her weapon. "That's not true." I cut him flatly. Her voice raised, fragile yet sharp. "He accuses me of stranger's knocks, perfume that doesn't exist, and now he'll deny his own wandering." The room rustled with uneasy whispers. "Stop twisting words into wounds," I said. She trembled, making it look like tears. "All I ever wanted was his wholeness back. But maybe he came back shattered." The officiant raised a hand. "Let us return to vows." But my voice cut steady, firm. A vow cannot stand on lies. And silence is complicity. Today they hear truth. The bridesmaid's hands gripped tighter around her bouquet. She looked at me, hesitant, then back at her. Her expression cracked. At last she saw through the veil. Her lips parted, but no defense came. Only quiet doubt lingered on her face. This shift mattered. Small but enough. Because for the first time, I wasn't standing against her alone. Someone else carried the tremor of recognition. I turned back to the officiant. "You can bless nothing if the altar itself is poisoned." The officiant faltered, unsure, but lowered his paper slightly. The hall's warmth pressed heavy, suffocating. My skin tingled under the veil's brush again. Fragile, too fragile to hide what I now prepared to unleash. Her whisper burned through the silence again. "Don't you dare strip this away from me. Not after all I've done." I leaned inches from her lace. "All you've done will strip itself." "Wait." Her smile twitched, brittle now. The crowd held their breath, confused but restless. I clasped my hands to still their tremors. Deep inside, I admitted one more fear. What if she flips everyone against me before I can prove anything? What if my evidence fails? The thought lingered sharp, raw, almost crushing. But strength followed it, sharp as a blade. No lie lives forever. I let the fear pass like smoke, leaving resolve at its place. The stage, the light, the veil, they thought they confined me. But all they did was prepare the spotlight for truth. Tomorrow had arrived. It was now. The organ music dimmed as the officiant lifted his hand. "We now come to the vows," he said warmly. Everyone leaned forward. The veil shimmered under stained glass light, brushing against my cheek one last time. "You may speak your promises," he invited. She smiled sweetly, her voice carrying like a polished blade. "I vow to stand with him despite his shadows, to forgive the way combat has broken his mind, and to love him as best I can." The crowd cooed softly. It sounded like devotion to them. To me, it was perjury dressed in lace. My chest tightened. The marble floor beneath my boots felt cold, grounding me to reason. I spoke quietly. "Before I vow, they must hear the truth." The officiant blinked. "Son, please," I cut firmly. His words silenced. Her grip on my arm tightened. "Don't humiliate us now. We made it so far." I gazed at her veil. "Far. Lies don't travel, they infect." Gasps rippled. One collective breath from the crowd. Just once and enough. In my pocket, the phone buzzed faintly. Time drops were complete. Screens lit across the hall. Even as I looked up, I saw guests frown at their devices. "Listen," I said. "These are not my words. They're hers." I tapped play. From my phone burst her voice, recorded when her mask slipped. "Be careful, soldier. Love disappears when suspicion grows too heavy." Whispers ignited among pews. Her cousin's smirk flattened. "Stop it," she hissed. "You're twisting harmless talk into knives." But another audio followed, soft but unmistakable. Her whisper from that night. "Wouldn't it be tragic if your mother knew the full truth?" My mother's breath caught. Just once, sharp enough to cut. The officiant's face paled. His voice low, unsettled. "Bride, do you deny these words are your own?" "I was protecting him," she shouted suddenly, mask cracking. "I carried his broken pieces while he rotted overseas." The room stilled. No rehearsed sweetness. Rage boiled raw. I raised the printed emails, unfolded like banners. Love letters to him, dated when I was under fire. Perfume for meetings, excuses dressed as care. Each line different, each one betrayal. Her voice dropped to venom. "I gave you waiting years. It was never enough. What kind of man leaves and expects a woman to stay caged?" Whispers surged, louder this time. Friends frowned, some shaking heads. The bridesmaid stepped forward, bouquet trembling. "I saw messages last night. I thought maybe I was overthinking. But no," she met my eyes. "You weren't mad. You weren't." For the first time, someone stood beside me. She lunged toward her friend. "Don't you dare take his side." The officiant raised his voice, sharp. "Enough. This house cannot host vows built on deceit." Her nails clawed the veil, ripping it from her face. Her features twisted, painted tears now streaked with fury. "You filthy coward." She spat at me. "Too weak to keep me. Too scared to admit war broke you. So you build cages out of evidence." I straightened, voice calm. Steady now, not rage, not despair. Righteous calm. "I don't need to keep you. Truth does that." Gasps. One last ripple. Neighbors realizing what had just happened. Her cousin slammed a fist on the pew. "You set her up. You staged this." But Mom spoke finally, voice trembling yet firm. "No. I doubted him once. I was wrong. I hear her words now. I know my son." The cousin fell quiet. The bride staggered, breath heaving. "They'll still pity me. They'll call me the wounded one. You'll be the cold soldier, with nothing but suspicion." I shook my head slowly. No pity remains when masks shatter. The bridesmaid laid down her bouquet at my feet. Symbolic, small, but her stance was no longer swayed. The officiant placed his hands over the book and closed it. "This union cannot stand." Silence swallowed the hall. She screamed, voice cracking. "You think you've won? You'll go back to marching, alone, unwanted, haunted." Her rage echoed in the stone arches, but it rang hollow. I waited until her voice died. Then I spoke only once more. So the walls remembered. Justice doesn't need noise. Only truth. The hall sat frozen. Even the organ stayed silent. I stepped back. Calm. Dignity unbroken. My body shook faintly, but my voice had never been steadier. Her veil lay crumpled on the marble. A white ghost, abandoned. I felt the cold floor one last time under my boots as I turned and walked away clean. I stood at the front of the hall, veil fallen to the marble like discarded skin, her rage still echoing in stone arches. But my chest felt still. Clear. The officiant, uncertain but firm, closed his book. The vows cannot proceed. She slumped against the altar rail, eyes wild but voice drained. So what? You walk away proud. You destroy me and call it honor. I faced her fully. I returned from battle unbroken, and I leave this hall unbound. Your lies do not chain me. Gasps murmured across the room, softer now, like they had run out of reasons to doubt. She tried once more, a last sharp plea. They'll pity me still. You'll be remembered as cruel. I shook my head slowly. Cruel would have been silence. Cruel would have been pretending loyalty lived where it died. The bridesmaid stepped forward, voice small but clear. He isn't cruel. He's free. Something inside me loosened at her words, like armor dropping from tired shoulders. I turned to my mother. She held my gaze, eyes glistening. At last, there was no doubt, no hesitation. She nodded once. That single nod carried weight heavier than metals. I breathed deep, the air sharp, tasting faintly of iron, like blood and resolution. I spoke not to her anymore, but to the gathered. I carried her name through war, carved it into sand with trembling hands, sealed it with the breath of dying brothers who believed in honor. That vow lived with me. Now it dies with truth. Silence. No interruptions. Only stillness that carried the weight of justice. I walked to the altar, placed a folded paper there, a final vow written in solitude the night before. Not for her, for myself. It read simply, to stand honest in the face of betrayal is vow enough. The officiant bowed his head. Then let truth be the bond you carry from here. I stepped down, each footfall slow but strong, marble echoing like a drumbeat of finality. She crumpled behind me, fabric torn, sobs breaking but unheard. No one moved to her. Not this time. For the first time since returning, the room belonged to me. The guests, once whispering, stayed quiet. Conflicted faces softened into something else, understanding, reflection, judgment too, but not for me. The hall doors opened. Cold air swept in, clearing the heavy scent of wax and perfume. I crossed the threshold, pausing only once. Turning back, I said, "Your lies are yours to carry, but not with me." And I left. Outside, the daylight hit strong, sky wide and unbroken, nothing veiled anymore. The bridesmaid followed, not too close, as if honoring distance. My mother's steps echoed after mine, steady, sure. I let the sun warm my face, heat brighter than flames of combat, but free of destruction. I whispered to the open air, so all could hear, so none could mistake. If betrayal ever cut you too, tell your story below. Revenge Exposed now belongs to us all. And then I walked forward, dignity unshaken,